Online phishing and fraud attacks top the list of cyber threats arising from COVID-19. According to Interpol, countries in Asia and the South Pacific are seeing spikes in online scams, mainly due to the lack of cyber awareness and hygiene in the region. Here in Singapore, $82 million was lost in the top 10 scam categories. E-commerce and online scams saw the highest number of reported cases. In this environment, cybersecurity firms like Horangi are finding themselves fighting cyber fires way too often.
COVID has enabled a lot more of attacks, specifically around COVID and the exchange of information that's happening, and a lot of the data tracking as well. A lot of the people that are out there doing nefarious things have a lot of extra time, they're putting it to good use.
Horangi helps companies protect data in remote computer servers or the cloud. It checks for security issues in tech infrastructure and applications before hackers find them. The company started in 2016, taking the name Horangi, which is the Korean word for tiger, a symbol for protector. Horangi is now a team of 70 people with offices in Singapore and key regional cities as well as the US. Tech firms like Gojek, Ninja Van and Shopback rely on the cybersecurity startup to keep their cloud systems secure.
As they grow, the security problems become more complex because there's just more infrastructure and there's more people involved. Our thought process around security is people, process, and technology, but the most important part kind of being the people, because generally they're the weakest link.
Horangi's job is to help companies set up protocols and put safety checks in place. For online classifieds marketplace Carousel, training its people to be more aware of phishing scams is one way to keep its platform secure.
COVID has accelerated a lot of things that would take years to move online to weeks or months. So with more data coming online, more people interacting online, more people actually depending on their livelihood online, it's even more important that we take cybersecurity seriously.
During Singapore's circuit breaker, transactions of pre-loved items on Carousel hit over $1 billion. But scams involving sales of gaming and electronic items, face masks and hand sanitizers also rose.
Our moderator do go through the listings to make sure that fraudulent listings will not be able to pass through the check. We also build tools to make their jobs easier as well. So these are using data as well as using machine learning to be able to detect the patterns beforehand. It could be users signing up multiple accounts, or they're using certain types of keywords or prices that are different.
Building consumer trust ranks high as Carousel looks towards growing its revenue and reaching profitability in the next 3 to 4 years.
The last thing that we want is to be complacent. We always want to be improving our product, improving our offering so that we can continue to serve our users.
So far, big venture capital firms remain convinced about Carousel's growth trajectory.
Many people are starting to move towards informal means of commerce through platforms like Carousel to either get rid of things that they don't need or to look for things and not necessarily buy new items from e-commerce websites.
Carousel is among the more than 2,400 firms that 500 startups has invested in globally over the last 10 years. The seed stage investor remains on the lookout for companies that ride on consumers' rapid adoption of technology, even amid the pandemic.
When we look at companies, there's not very much substance or track record or history to the companies. They're usually at most just a couple of years old. They have an MVP or a minimum viable product out into the market, and they're trying to see whether there's a fit between the product that they're developing and the customers that they're trying to target.
500 Startups says cybersecurity is one area that's ripe for innovation in Singapore and Southeast Asia.
The cybersecurity market and opportunity is huge. I believe in 2017 it was a $150 billion opportunity that is growing at a fairly high rate of 15 to 20% year over year. And that comes as a surprise to no one if you think about it. Look at the number of devices that are coming online, the number of handphones, the number of IoT devices, how mission critical now technology infrastructure is for businesses all across the world.
Venture capital investments in privacy and security firms reached nearly $10 billion globally in 2019, marking a five-fold rise in under a decade. This year, cybersecurity VC deals, particularly in the US, are off their peaks, but have started to stabilize in the third quarter. With cybersecurity now becoming essential for remote work and business continuity, global spending in the sector is forecast to grow to $43 billion this year. But as companies struggle, cutbacks on IT spending also put downward pressure on current estimates.
This year we're growing about 25%, whereas we would have been targeting something closer to 80% if COVID hadn't happened. I wouldn't call us a beneficiary of COVID, but I wouldn't say it's essentially hurt our business. And I think generally if you look at security spend through a crisis, it's generally flat, or maybe small percentage growth.
Still, one bright spot arising from the pandemic is Harangi's competitive edge in being close to its market.
We're working with the customers to solve their regional problems instead of a US or Israeli company building a product and trying to sell it here. Cybersecurity globally is growing at 10% every year, and Asia is actually upwards of 20%. So the market is big and getting much bigger as we move along. So I think from an opportunity perspective, it is a good space to be in.